Hello, I'm Brent Farris from the Bearded Man Studios, and I had a friend who was asking about, where to start. He has a basic concepts of programming, arrays, ints, floats, classes, all that stuff. But, when you have an idea, like blackjack, where do you start? So, where I start whenever I do this is I analyze the object at hand. So I have a deck of cards, and that is the basic things of the basic attributes behind the objects that are going to be used in this game for the game. And then the second thing I identify are the rules. What score do I have to have, and all the limitations and such. So when I start off, I start designing an idea of what this has all together in it. I see that there's a deck, and that is a class. So the deck has cards, and that is an array. And that is an array of card, which is a class, and then it has restrictions. And this would be a logic loop, basically like a while loop or a for loop or a constructor, something that creates the card array, because we can't have two cards that are the same exact number and the same exact suit. Unless you have multiple decks, but then in that case you would have another deck and you just have the two deck classes themselves. So you have a deck, you have cards, which is an array of card, which is a class, and you have your, let's call it a constructor, which creates cards. Let's put constructor. Constructor makes more sense than logic loop. And now that's basically all we need in a deck to start off with, at least so far that I can think. We're not thinking way down the line, just a high level. The next thing we need, obviously, is a card, which is a class. Right now, lowercase. So the card is a class, and there's certain things on a card. There's a number. That's the number we have here. There's a suit and a color. So we'll just call it shape, which is an enum, and a color, which is a enum, which is in this case, red or black, which we could probably do with like a boolean is red. But if you want to make an exotic deck of cards and have different colors than just red and black, you would make it an enum to select from. So after that, we have rules. I'm going to get into this one in a second. So before that, actually, let's go into player. So we have a player, and this is going to be a class. And this player is you, the player. Imagine yourself as the player rather than the creator. What kind of things do you expect the game to give you? Well, you expect to give you a turn, action, or option. A turn is basically an action or an option, so I suppose I can put turn, action, or option. And you can expect that to be inside of a switch and or a loop. May extend this, I don't like that wrapping. So you'd expect your turn to happen. It's an action or an option, so either you are physically pressing a key and making something happen, or it's giving you, hey, do this or this, and you only have between those options to choose from. And so that would happen inside of the player switch or loop. So we know that we have to have a switch or loop. The player has a health, maybe. Maybe this would be your cards, how much money you have. So we can change this to money, keeping it in the context of blackjack. So we have money, which is, let's just call it an int. We have a set amount of money that we add or subtract from in the game. So turn, in this case, is going to be an option. So because it's blackjack, you hit or pass, and that'll happen inside of a switch or a loop. So other than that, now that we have the money, we have one more thing, and that could be score. So a score, which could be an integer, is basically going to keep track of the player. Maybe you don't want to just go off money. You want to see how long they lasted this time compared to the last. Maybe they won 10 games instead of 3. And then you could save that to a file for high scores or whatever. But now you have a way to score the player other than just the money that they have. So that brings us to the last part that I would think of in blackjack, which would be the rules. And the rules I will call a singleton. If you don't know what a singleton is, that's okay. Imagine a class where you could only have one instance of it. It's kind of, a lot of people don't like singletons in C++. Not a lot of people. Some people just don't like using singletons in C++. But I think they're fine. That's why they're there. It's basically a class with a private constructor, but I'm not going to get into it. So a singleton is your rules. You have one set of rules. This could even not be a singleton. You could make it a class if you wish and make only one instance of it. So you have one rules class, and the rules has a victory condition. And this victory condition I boil down to a bool. And that is the victory condition may be bool, it may be an int, it may be a float, but it's going to be compared as a bool. So let's just say this is an int, and our int is going to equal 21. And 21 you automatically win, or if you go more than 21, that's the boolean. If my score, or my card score, which I guess would be kept in the player, cards, let's call it round score, int, which is your card based on your cards number. So you would see that's, you just witnessed me come up with a new thing that we need to do in the game, because I got to the victory condition, the rules, and realized that, hey, my player needs to keep track of something. So now I've found out that my player needs to keep track of its score for this round, which is the card numbers, and now I can compare this round score against the victory condition, which is 21. So if round score is less than 21, then I can compare everybody else's, and if somebody's higher, then they win. If I'm the highest, then I win. Or I can say, if my round score is 21, I'm going to win this round automatically. And if my round score is greater than 21, then I lost, and that's the boolean. So I'm saying if round score greater than, that's a bool. I'm saying if then. So that's just a comparison, which comes out to be a boolean. So the victory condition I like to boil down to a bool. And also you can keep track of time inside of your rules, which, if it's a timed game, you only have 20 seconds per round or whatever. So you got to think quick, do the math quick in your head and all that. And then you have a turns. So maybe you want to limit or count the number of turns that have happened. So now we have a basic structure of what we want to go on in this game. Now I analyzed it a little further and I realized, hey, the player needs to get cards. I have cards here and I have a deck here, but the player doesn't have his own set of cards. So instead of round score, maybe I give the player an array of cards, and I just look inside of the cards and say, hey, for each card, what's the score? So we'll call it score plus all cards. And that will equal this round score boolean, or round score integer that we'll use against the victory condition. So that may have been a lot and cramming, but this is not teaching you how to make blackjack. This is teaching you how I think of things whenever I get into programming and how I lay out things. So now that we have this all typed out, I can go back and do one more final pass on it. So the example is I have blackjack. In blackjack, the first thing I think that blackjack has is cards. It has a deck, so there's X number of cards, so there's a limit to how many cards there are, and there's different types of cards. And there's cards in the deck. So we make a deck which houses an array of the class card. So because we have individual cards in the deck. So we have a card. I suppose if you want to be very straightforward, you can put card first. So I say that I have cards, so that card has a number, it has a shape, and it has a color. Then I have a deck, which is full of cards. So I have a class of deck, which has an array of cards. And whenever I construct it, I make sure that I don't duplicate any cards. Then I have a player, myself. I need to have turns, because I need to say hit or miss, which is my option. I need to have money to keep track of, if I can't play anymore, or I can continue playing, I suppose. I need a score to say, what is my score compared to last time, which could be money, but I'm just separating it out as score. And then I need to have cards myself. I need to hold cards. When I play the game, I'm holding cards. And you can think of it that way, is that I am the player, and if in physical, real life, I'm playing blackjack, I need options, I need money, I don't need a score. This is optional, so I can put optional. But I do need cards, and the cards have, I don't need to add this. This was for my explanation. My cards have a number, which is the score, and I can get rid of that now that we've explained it. So now, me as a player, I need options, I need money, and I need cards. Those are the three things that I am required to have to play this game. Now, when I play the game, there needs to be rules. There needs to be a victory condition, which is number 21. That is what I'm comparing my score against, which is going to be a set of cards. So, my victory condition, I need to have 21. Then I can have sub-victory conditions to say, if I'm almost at 21 or whatever. But mainly, I need a victory condition, and that's 21. This is the bare bones. I need to get 21 to win. Now, I put these two are optional as well, because I don't need a time and I don't need turns. But if I want to limit the time and I want to limit the turns, or I want to keep track of the time and keep track of the turns, this is where I'd put it, instead of my rules or some other class that keeps track of miscellaneous things. So that's how I break down where I need to start in my game. I have thought of blackjack. I have now gotten attributes that are programmable. Now I have actual data types against them: ints, enums, int arrays, all that stuff. Now the question is, where do I start? So I actually cut off what I was doing in the last video because, or in this video I should say, because I started to ramble on. And what I want to do is pause here and say, in the next video I'm going to tell you, now that you have this set up, where do you start? So that'll be in the next video, and I'll see you there.